Hi, this is Greg Etroff, and today we'll be talking about transportation and how it shaped the development of Portsmouth on Remarkable Portsmouth Archives. Because Portsmouth was originally established as a shipping center for local agriculture and industry, it had much wider streets than the typical colonial or early 19th century Virginia town. In fact, High Street was the widest street in Virginia for a long time, 100 yards wide, because it and several other streets in downtown Portsmouth, like County Street, were set up to handle freight wagons moving out into the surrounding counties. And this meant that when automobiles were developed and these roads were paved over, these streets were already wide enough to handle multi-directional automobile traffic. And so in the early 20th century, when automobiles were a new and growing market that were supplemental to ferries and railroads and that sort of thing, the automobile brought more traffic into Portsmouth. Those wide accommodating streets made it a great spot for people to drive in. And if they needed to cross the river, new, larger ferries that could accommodate automobile traffic replaced the older, smaller 19th century ferries. So people drove into Portsmouth, parked, did their shopping, then drove their cars onto the Elizabeth River Ferry and moved on to Norfolk. So Portsmouth accommodated rail and bus traffic very well at first. There was a Greyhound station here, actually, just a block away from where we're filming this now, right on Court Street. But as new highway systems were built, the flow of transportation changed. Portsmouth was left behind. The construction of bridges over the Elizabeth River and then bridge tunnels displaced the ferry traffic, and instead of automobiles stopping in downtown Portsmouth or downtown Norfolk, people doing their shopping and business and then moving on, they could just go straight through and bypass those old hubs. The interstate highway system further diverted traffic and encouraged people to move out into an ever-expanding zone of suburbs. So that drew even more capital away from the old downtown districts. It drew more people away. New and modern buildings went up to service those suburbs, and the older established buildings in downtown Portsmouth found themselves too old-fashioned to compete. So the construction of new hospitals in what had been rural farm country that was now easily accessible by car meant that the old St. Mary's Hospital in downtown Portsmouth became superfluous. So there goes another major business in the area. And so the kind of transportation system we have now that depends on interstate highways and multi-lane state roads has been very bad for communities that depended on directed traffic creating these tight nodes. And ever since the 1950s, Portsmouth has been struggling to find ways to redefine itself as an attractive location when the transportation grid is no longer giving us a leg up, but instead pushing people away from the area.